financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is double trouble, disabled with tax problems. Jenny Lingl.
Good to be here, Ken.
You're going to cover the tax issue.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Good morning, Ken.
Disability expert.
Yes, I am.
This is going to be about your topic.
I'm ready, willing, and able to discuss.
Tax problems, financial problems still kick in. That's why we've got Brian Small.
This is true, otherwise I'd be taking a nap in the corner.
There you go. I don't think that's going to happen. All right, so let's do it with a case study. Today's topic is Sally, the court reporter. Here are the facts. She's self-employed, works on her own as a court reporter. She pays her taxes via estimates. She's always behind on paying her taxes. This has been her modus operandi for several years. In 2015, she developed severe carpal tunnel syndrome. By 2018, now she's telling us she can't work as a court reporter. She claims she cannot use either of her arms for any length of time. Her family. She's married to Bill, 2 minor children. She has not filed her tax returns for 2016 or 2017. Bill works for Ford. He's a W-2 employee. He has not filed his tax returns for 2016 and 2017 because he's been waiting on Sally to compile her income. Bill makes $80,000 a year. His job is steady. He's got a 401k of $195,000. Sally's tax bill from 2016 is $25,000. From 2017 is $30,000.
This is on her unfiled tax returns.
On her unfiled tax returns.
If she filed married filing separate, is that where
That's
you're
where
angling?
we're going.
Okay.
That's where we're talking about. Sally's credit card debt, $50,000 in her name. There's $5,000 of credit card debt in Bill's name, and they're telling us there's $10,000 of credit cards, and they don't know whether it's joint, Bill's, or Sally's. They're unsure. Those are the facts. Let's start with Sally's carpal tunnel problem. Can she collect Social Security disability? Now here's what I know on carpal tunnel. Weakness in the hand, numbness or tingling in the thumb, the next 2 fingers in the palms, difficulty moving your fingers, difficulty gripping or carrying items, and the pain in the arm, wrist, and hand. She's saying it's severe. I can hardly hold anything. So I clearly can't work as a court reporter. Wearing a splint doesn't help her. There's some nerve damage and neuropathy is what in talking to her. How does that play out from your perspective, Jeff?
Well, first of all, we got to establish that she's unable to work for 12 months or longer. Now, Social Security does a couple different steps in terms of the analysis. One step is whether or not you can go back and work what's called your past relevant work that you've done over the past 15 years.
So that would be as a court reporter?
So as a court reporter, and based on these facts, she can't be a court reporter. Carpal tunnel syndrome starts here in the wrist and does go up, and it affects your hands and wrists. And severe enough that you can't use your fingers. It's very painful, certainly at night. Use braces a lot to stop your clenching because that aggravates it more. So she cannot be a court reporter. I would give you that. She can't go back and do her past relevant work.
So you got that covered.
Right, and typically
Is that it?
carpal tunnel
End
syndrome.
of story, she gets her disability?
No, that's not the end of the story. So let's assume that even with surgery, she may be non-surgical depending on how severe it is, or she may have already had surgery to kind of
Doctors say it's not going to get any better.
Right. So she can't go back and do her past relevant work. So the next issue then is there other work that still exists in a significant amount in the economy, in the national economy, that she can perform despite her limitations? So
Is that when they talk about any work?
It's exactly what they mean. Any work. It's a theoretical argument. It's a hypothetical. Are there jobs that exist out there in the national economy that people can perform despite their limitations? They don't care whether or not those jobs pay the amount of money that you paid before, and I get that a lot with clients when they've made
making
$60,000, $70,000,
$75,000 a year as a court reporter. What am I going to do? Is take a job making $20,000 a year minimum wage?
And the answer is yes. It's irrelevant what the wage rate is. It's irrelevant if they've had no desire to do that job before. It's irrelevant whether or not those jobs are close by their home. It's irrelevant whether or not those jobs only offer night shifts and you've got kid responsibilities.
To drive 2 hours to the job?
Correct. Are there jobs that exist in the national economy?
If I can drive.
If you can drive.
Kind of
with
hard
carpal
without being able to use my
that
hands.
might be an issue to be considered when we're going through our analysis with regard to that as to how she would get to work, things of that nature.
So wait, you're telling me that because Sally, who is her wrists and she's suffering from this carpal tunnel, that if she can work as a greeter at Walmart, that would preclude her from getting Social Security disability?
Well, I think that's kind of an exception, because when you're talking about those greeter type jobs, those are typically makeshift work. Those are jobs typically like at Walmart that people have already worked at Walmart and they've become disabled, and instead of paying workers' compensation, they'll put them back as a greeter job, making their salary. But those type of greeter jobs. Those jobs don't typically exist in the economy much. You can't typically apply for those jobs as much, but they do look at other jobs. They look at
what could she do if she can't use her hands?
Well, I'm not a vocational expert, but there's some inspecting jobs. There are security guards, surveillance system monitor, where you sit maybe in a grocery store and you just watch a television monitor.
I can see surveillance.
But doesn't that usually require computer use?
No, there are jobs that don't require computers or writing things down.
Probably verbally just say,
Correct.
Spotted somebody.
Pick up a
Aisle
phone,
4.
things of that nature. Some receptionist work, especially
Kids
these days.
stealing
We've got handsets, yeah.
toilet paper.
Exactly.
Aisle 4.
Exactly. So there are jobs that still exist that you can't use your hands on. So now we have to look to see are there other jobs. So
what would you do? Sally's in your office. What do you tell? What are you going to do with her?
Well, so we're analyzing.
She needs money.
What her limitations are, and she can't go back and do her past relevant work. So right away, to me, that severe of a problem is a case that I would certainly consider. Well, now you start looking at other non-exertional problems that she has with regard to her.
What was that word?
Non-exertional problems.
Hold the term non-exertional problems. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, you're going to tell us what in the world you're talking about.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So Jeff, what do you mean by non-exertional problem?
Well, exertional problems are usually your grasping, your lifting. Non-exertional things such as focus, concentration, memory. For instance, with regard to this case, if her problems are as severe as we're talking about, more likely than not, she's on some pretty heavy medications. And if medications cause you side effects, and you've complained to your doctor, and your doctor's unwilling to change those medications.
Major pain pills and everything
Correct.
else, and nerve medications.
Correct. And so a lot of times people will tell me about these medications that they cause them drowsiness.
Let's assume she's on all of them.
Right. As long as you've complained to your doctor and the doctor said, look, I could change your medications to change your problem, to get rid of the side effects, but it won't cure your problem. You have to be on these medications. Well, then we are allowed to consider the side effects of medications
Side note,
as problems.
Sally, has your doctor said he can't change the medications because if he does, you're not going to be able to function or you won't be able to control the thing? Yes, he has. Yes, I've talked to Sally. That's exactly the situation.
Then we are allowed to, by law, not only consider the carpal tunnel syndrome as part of a disability, but the side effects of medication that we can consider as part of her disability. Also, we could talk about concentration, focus, memory, sleep issues, if she'd have to be off.
So when you do that, that gets you to the point where even though the carpal tunnel disability per se by itself may not preclude her from taking any other type of job as a way of not meeting their criteria, these other factors could preclude her if she's cognitively screwed up because of the medication, but she needs the medication, otherwise she won't be able to function at all, then she could meet the requirements for disability?
Absolutely. And then we start looking at other problems that she might have also that she takes for granted, but may cause her some limitations too.
You know, here's a question I got asked recently. First is, does it make a difference if you're determined to be disabled under Social Security disability? Like, if you're more disabled, do you get more money?
No, it's you're either disabled or you're not. There's no, you got 5 problems wrong, so you get 5 times the amount of money. Either you're disabled, and if you're disabled, then you're entitled to your monthly amount based on what you've earned, what you've paid into the system. If you're not disabled, you're not entitled to anything. It doesn't matter how severe you are in terms of disability, it's either disabled or not disabled.
You know, there's another one. I think you mentioned it to
I
me
was-
the
yeah, I
other
was-
day. What about Sally's in agony, but she's still taking a few jobs because even though she's in agony, she needs the income. What is that? If you're still working a little bit, what does that do with regard to claiming disability?
Well, it depends on how little you're working. If you're making a little over, if you're just making a couple $100s a week, then you could still apply for benefits. But if you are working and making, let's say you're making $2-3 grand a month, maybe not as much as you're making, but making significant
half
money,
of what she was.
right? Then you're not disabled because you are working. And I encourage my clients that I get that a lot, where they are in agony, but they continue to work.
So as long as you're working, you're in agony, you're just not
disabled.
going to qualify for that Social Security disability.
Correct, because you're working. You have to be unable to work for 12 months or longer.
But if you work for an employer who has a short-term or long-term disability policy program with them, you may qualify for that while you're waiting to qualify for Social Security disability.
Correct. If you stop working for Social Security, it's 12 months or longer. With regard to those policies, usually
Oftentimes 90 days.
30, 60, 90 days, and could qualify for those policies. So you can get on those policies. And actually interesting you bring that up, because most of those policies have a provision in there after a certain period of time that actually makes you apply for Social Security. They say they're
Coordination of benefits.
But the coordination of benefits, that you have to apply for benefits. And if you don't apply for Social Security
take it away from
after
them.
a period of time, they're allowed to make the assumption that you applied and got benefits. So they do make you. But yes,
So in
short
that
term,
case, if you applied and were denied Social Security, Security, but you met the criteria under the policy, you'd still be able to get to continue at least collecting those benefits?
Correct, because it's a private insurance policy. If you meet the definition of disability under those, you could collect under those.
All right, so bottom line on Sally, given her medications and everything else, you think she should get in with you and file an application for Social Security disability?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, now, time left. What about Sally's tax debt, $55,000? What about her credit card debt, $50,000? What about Bill's credit cards? What are we going to do about that stuff?
So we've got some interesting, with regard to the credit cards, we've got a couple interesting issues. They have possibly $10,000 worth of joint debt. Now, based on the totality of the circumstances, with Bill's income being what it is,
He's making 80.
Yeah, he's making $80,000 a year. The probability is Sally can file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and Bill doesn't need to do anything.
But wait, Bill is saying to me, I can borrow $50,000 from my 401k plan. I could use that money to either pay the taxes or to pay off the credit cards. Shouldn't I do that?
So
I saw on TV
so what I would do
someone
with Bill,
saying that that's what I should do.
What I would do with Bill is I would work out a structured plan with Bill to get rid of Bill's credit card debt. I don't need to worry about Sally.
He only has like $5,000.
So-
in
I
his
don't
bank.
need to worry about Sally's tax debt. I don't need to worry about Sally's
Well,
credit
wait,
card debt.
Bill's married to Sally. How can you say he doesn't have to
Because
worry about her
Sally
taxes?
and Bill are going to file married filings separately for the 16-17 tax
Wait
year.
a second, Jenny, can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. And in
Wait,
this case,
you know
they
something
should.
about taxes as well?
Maybe just a little.
He listens. Absolutely. So they're going to file married filing separate because we don't want Bill to be liable for Sally's taxes. In Michigan, we're not a community property state, which means that the Internal Revenue Service cannot go after Bill's assets to collect for
So
Sally.
this is a situation where it's fortunate that they did not file the 2016 and 2017 return as married filing joint, because Bill had his W-2 and they could have filed. They didn't file because Sally hadn't gotten her records together.
Absolutely, because once you file married filing jointly, you're unable to amend that return to go married filing separately. So it's really a decision you have to be sure of when you file that return.
So in this case, had they filed married filing jointly, then they'd have a much bigger problem.
Absolutely.
Because Bill's got income, he's
And a
got
401k.
401k, but because they didn't, it's Sally's problem, not Bill's. Fair statement?
Fair statement.
All right, we'll work from that point forward after the break from the standpoint of how we solve Sally's problem, and then Jeff's got to go to the disability. We'll be back after the break.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Nothing provokes panic and fear like the threat of a school shooting. Unfortunately, we've seen a sharp increase in students making copycat threats in order to gain notoriety. I'm Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith. Students, this behavior will not be tolerated. Felony charges will be brought against anyone who threatens the safety of our schools. Parents, please talk to your children and pass along this message. If you threaten our schools, it will cost you your future.
Time for announcements. Want to remind our viewers to listen to us Tuesdays 11:30 a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. for Law and Reality Live on Praise 102.7. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $50 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Go to the websites, click on the link, and sign up. We've got seminars coming up. Wednesday, June 6th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Sunshine is Summer and Being Debt-Free is the name of the seminar. We're going to focus on how to preserve future income for you and your family so that your money goes into the bank rather than going to the credit card companies. solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. We're going to have a special segment with Jeff Kirshner covering the basic elements of addressing a disability claim and a workers' comp claim. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. This is a seminar that gives you the opportunity to find out your options on how to get rid of debt, which is the smart play so you've got money left to retire with. Then on Wednesday, July 11th, 2018, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we have an estate planning seminar. An estate plan avoids costly fireworks. We're going to talk about all the elements of an estate plan, documents you must have while living, how to avoid probate, what happens when you end up in a probate fight and how to handle that. Attendees receive a $300 gold certificate off the cost of any estate plan. Sign up for both seminars at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Want to remind everyone that you can always come into THAV GROSS for a free consultation. If it's debt issues, tax issues, business issues, estate planning issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff, just call the firm or go on the links at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com and you can sign up. The phone number again is 888-235-HELP. Also, check out the websites. First of all, the website's been redone, so our website's new. Take a fresh look at it. Also, go to the websites for free reports, how to save your home from foreclosure, business formations and loans and grants for small businesses in Michigan, and the Retiree's Guide from Social Security to Social Security from Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Nothing provokes panic and fear like the threat of a school shooting. Unfortunately, we've seen a sharp increase in students making copycat threats in order to gain notoriety. I'm Macomb County Prosecutor Eric Smith. Students, this behavior will not be tolerated. Felony charges will be brought against anyone who threatens the safety of our schools. Parents, please talk to your children and pass along this message. If you threaten our schools, it will cost you your future.
Okay, so Sally's okay and good because she didn't file married filing joint.
It benefits her, yeah. It benefits her husband more than her. Yeah. In the long run, she still has the tax liability, which Jenny's going to have to take care of. But the first thing we have to do is
assess. What about her credit cards?
Well, the credit cards, Sally is currently not collectible from the credit card company. Why? Because she has no income. We're going to take some protective measures with Sally and Bill's bank account to take Sally off of the bank account so that nobody can go garnish her if she gets sued. And we're going to stretch and sit and wait as long as we can to file a bankruptcy for Sally.
Why not just file the bankruptcy now?
Well,
she's got $50,000 of credit card debt.
Right, she does, and she would qualify for the bankruptcy today. But Sally is still treating for her carpal tunnel, and she's going to keep incurring additional medical expenses. And as long as we file the bankruptcy before Sally is awarded her Social Security disability and their income stays steady in the household, we get to get rid of all the additional medical bills that Sally's going to incur.
Well, let me see if I understand this. What you're saying is you know Sally's going to be going to seeing doctors because of her condition and getting medical bills. And you're suggesting don't file the bankruptcy now, so as those bills come in, don't pay them, and then at a later date you'll file the bankruptcy.
There's no money to pay them with.
Is that honest?
Of course it's honest.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yes.
In fact, it's smart.
It is smart.
Because
yes.
in Sally's situation, she needs the medical treatment. She has no money to pay the bills.
Well, she doesn't have.
She's got to do what she's got to do. Is what it comes down
she's
to.
insured, right? She's on Bill's insurance. The reality is it's the co-pays and all all that other stuff that adds up, and it becomes big dollars.
Let me shift it back quickly to Jeff. You said file before she gets the check.
Right,
Okay,
and that's because it's protected as long as she hasn't received
What's
the money.
the time frame on getting a decision as you push forward on her case?
Well, once you have the hearing, usually taking, to get a written decision, 30 to 90 days to get a written decision.
Do you always find out the answer to the case based upon the... Do you go to the hearing and they tell you whether you win or lose? How do you find out whether you won or lost?
Well, they'll never tell you lost at the hearing, although you get a feel for it, questions, and if you win, they may not tell you, but sometimes they'll tell you, I'm going to pay you, but it all depends. The other day, in fact, I had a case on Thursday. On Wednesday, I got a call from the clerk. Based on my brief, based on all the medical I submitted, the judge had already made up her decision that she was going to pay the case, and so called me and awarded us benefits without even having to have a hearing.
No hearing at all.
No hearing at all.
But what was this? From
but-
start to end, what's that timeline?
That was approximately 16 months from when the initial application was filed.
But it
Jenny-
can be up to 24, right?
Correct.
So you're going to file the case before the benefits paid. What are you going to do about the taxes? You got 1.5 minutes to tell us.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is have her put in uncollectible, because the worst case scenario is she does nothing under the impression that the IRS can't levy her. Jeff does his job very well. The money gets deposited in her account. The IRS sweeps in and takes out that lump sum of the back payment. So I would put her in uncollectible to prevent that. After she receives her lump sum for her back payments, we would then file an offer in compromise for her. We don't need to include Bill's 401k. We need to include Bill's income in the offer in compromise only in apportioning the shared household expenses. But based on what I know the average of Social Security disability to be, by the time we look at her allowable expenses for food and clothing and maybe a car payment and maybe some term life insurance and her portion of the household expenses, it's going to be zeroed out to likely a very, very low offer.
Let me summarize it. She's got a disability. She needs to pursue that claim. It's a difficult claim, but it's one that's worth pursuing on carpal tunnel with all the complications and the medications and everything else.
Yes.
Her credit cards, she can get rid of those credit cards, but you're saying no hurry to get rid of them now. Wait, because she's going to have all these medical bills coming in. File the bankruptcy just before she's going to get the Social Security benefit.
It's all about the strategy.
Then on the taxes, we're not going to file an offer in compromise until after she collects that disability benefit, and then you can file an offer in compromise and get rid of the taxes.
Yes.
The point that's important is to realize you have to coordinate all of the aspects, the credit cards, the tax problem, the disability, on one team so you get the smart outcome. You do it independently without everyone coordinating, you could end up creating your own disaster. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.